Listening to Southern Miss Radio. It's time for News You Need. News You Need is a look at current events and how they affect the college community and beyond. And now here's the host of News You Need, Dr. Ed Simpson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of News You Need. This is the program where we talk to the absolute best humans in the whole world, which is our USM students. And we have another amazing group of students with us here today. But first, why are we here? What's this show all about? This is the show where we talk with our students about what's on their minds, what's news to them. We throw out some headlines to see what maybe our students are thinking about some of the issues of the day. And the reason we care is that news lets us know where our societies are headed, the kinds of decisions that we as citizens need to make in terms of who we vote for, how we vote, when we vote, all those kinds of things are all about the news and journalism and taking part in society. So why don't we kick it off today? If you would, tell us your name, maybe, your major, your hometown, what year you're in, and if you're a member of any group or anything like that.
Good morning. My name is Maya Calhoun. I'm from Clarksdale, Mississippi, or the Delta. My major is forensics with a minor in criminal justice. This is my senior year.
Oh, wow, okay.
My name is Brianna Williams. I am a junior biological science major with an emphasis in biomedical and a minor in chemistry, and I'm from Madison, Mississippi.
Oh, okay. So you're both from Mississippi, and you're both in STEM fields. So talk to me a little bit about that. How STEM, of course, is science, technology, engineering, and math. That's what everybody is excited about right now. So tell me, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? What's the plan?
I plan on doing crime scene investigation work.
So CSI stuff.
Yes, that's kind of the field I wanted to go into always, just because of shows I grew up watching. So I decided to turn it into a career, basically. Like, I couldn't find anything else that I wanted to do, really, and I just made that my major.
Oh, I think that's great. And so have you done an internship? Have you been out in the field doing
I have
things?
done an internship. I did my internship here at Southern with the police department in their investigations unit last summer.
Is that right? How'd that go?
It was so fun.
Was it really?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you know how to take fingerprints?
Well, we learned that like sophomore year, so
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So if I gave you this pen, you could tell me whether I had held it or not?
Well, from objects like that, like it's
It's a lot harder than it looks on
Yeah.
than on TV, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was heading with it. That's great. And so what's your long-term scheme?
After undergrad, I want to go to medical school at UMC, and I want to become a doctor and specialize in gastroenterology.
Wow. So what a great specific plan that is. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about being women in fields that are predominantly male-oriented, right? This is Women's History Month. Is that correct? So what do you tell me a little bit about what's it like being a woman in a field that you're probably sitting in classes with primarily men? Is that right?
Well, not specifically for my field. Forensics is mostly female dominated.
Okay.
But I feel like it is because we pay a lot more attention to detail than some men
Oh,
when it
okay.
comes to things like that.
Okay.
Like she said, I won't say it's mostly women in my class. I would say I feel like it's more of a balance between the women and men. And I feel like from my experience from volunteering and shadowing, like you said, when I volunteer and I shadow, I mostly shadow like male doctors and stuff like that.
So I
And-
wondered about that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It is a little different, but that's why we need the women to change that.
And you have no problem doing that, being those pioneers to go in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because now when you were out in the field with, was it the Hattiesburg Police Department or the campus? Police
It was
Department?
the campus police department.
Now that's mostly men on the police department, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Um,
But I was with one female sergeant, and it was another male for their investigation unit.
Yeah. So from your perspective as young professionals starting to enter the fields, does it matter whether you see someone who looks like you, thinks like you in those positions? Does that matter to you?
I feel like it matters to me because representation matters. Like you'll want to see yourself there if you can see somebody else like close to you there, or y'all share something in common.
Like she said, it does matter to me. It's really inspirational seeing people that look like me in the field because it lets me know, like, okay, like if they can do it, then I can too.
Yeah, and the science on that is pretty clear that if you have faculty and professionals who look like, think like, act like, can be models for other students in those areas, it's better for everybody. It increases the diversity in the field. So I think that that's great. Well, thank you for that. That's amazing. So talk to me about what are our students talking about? What's news this week to our students? We're coming off of spring break, so I know we're back. We're back for the week. Yay, in class. What are our students talking about? What's news?
Preparing for the next break.
Oh, no,
Yes.
no. Well, okay, I'll bite. What's the next break? Summer?
That's what it seems like because I heard
Yeah.
we don't have an academic break all April and then finals. So
That's right. That's right. So what do you think about staring at this long month without a break?
I feel like it's gonna go really fast because I'm just thinking about graduation.
Yeah, well, you're graduating, right?
Yes, in December, not
Not in
May.
December. Okay,
Yes.
you're when are you graduating?
I graduate next May.
Yeah, okay. There you go. So you don't care that much, right? But I have a lot of seniors in my classes that are graduating, and it's tough. That last month before graduation is tough. Okay, so anything in the news going on that our students are chatting about? Anything on campus that gets you excited about? How's our baseball team? Are you guys following our baseball team?
Yes, I follow, but not closely. Like I'm into sports, but not like I want to go to the baseball game today.
Okay.
Like, no, but if we're winning, yes.
Okay, well,
Always.
there you go.
Like she said, I haven't been to a baseball game all semester. I haven't been to a basketball game all semester, so I'm not really sure myself.
Okay. Okay. So, well, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the world. What I'm trying to pull out is, so let me ask you this. So, are you seeing anything on Yik Yak or TikTok that are causing our students to chat?
Yes.
Like what?
Something that happened over spring break. I feel like every teacher told us don't go home for spring break and get any trouble. Don't get any DUIs. Don't. Yeah,
So, is that what you're seeing now on Yik Yak?
Yes, that one of our students here got in trouble.
Yes, I saw that. A lot of folks are talking about that. And it was covered in the news.
Yes,
It was. So, yeah, that happens. And I always tell our students, don't cover the news, don't be the news, right? That's important.
I've been seeing a lot about, TikTok probably might get banned in the future, and that upset a lot of students or like just a lot of people in general because TikTok is like people's reference. Like that's how some people make their money. That's how people use that as their platform to promote like their business and things like that. So that is kind of sad if they do ban it.
Yeah, I actually want to pick up on that because there is a law moving through Congress about TikTok. So we're going to pick up on that on the other side of the break. Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.
Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau, from Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio.
Okay, we are back, and so we were discussing TikTok. So there is a bill moving through Congress. This is obviously the federal legislature that would not ban TikTok, but would force the sale of TikTok to an American company. So the issue is TikTok is owned by ByteDance. Lillian can look that up for us, which is a Chinese-owned company. So TikTok is owned by China. And there is concern that all of your information that you have on TikTok will be sent back to China and then somehow used in nefarious ways. So this bill would force the sale of TikTok to to an American company if they want to keep doing business in the United States. So what do you think about that?
I feel like the data has already been compromised, and it hasn't been anything noticeable that's been happening. So I don't feel like they should ban it and make it American, because if the data already been compromised, then
China's already got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't care. You don't care that your government says, "Hey, this is a national security issue." You're not buying it.
I would want them to define the national security
Yeah.
issue. Like, I would want them to point it out, not just say the data's been compromised, because we sign away our data every day when we update our cell phones, update our apps. So
You can jump in or not jump
I was
in.
gonna say, I really do agree with what she said.
Yeah, I will tell you, I'm with you too, and I think that was really super well said. Is that whenever we sign up for anything, Google, Facebook, Twitter or X now, we sign away all of our information. I'm not sure that anybody's made a compelling case that TikTok is somehow any more dangerous to our people than any of the other social media platforms. But our students do seem to spend a lot of time on TikTok.
yes, I find myself on there a lot throughout the day. Like, when there's nothing to do, I just scroll a little bit, then go back to regular life. Like,
Yeah, like she said, I think it's like an escape. Sometimes I feel like I use TikTok as my personal Google or Safari. Like if I'm trying to look up nail design ideas, or like this summer I'm going out of town and I was like looking up things to do. Like usually that's something I'll look up on like Google or something, but no, I use TikToks. People give
Really?
their very honest reviews.
yeah, I can't cook, so I just go to TikTok and they show you a whole little recipe for whatever you need. and
Wow.
they show themselves while they cook it. That's really what I need. I can read instructions and
Or
follow
like if
the
you want
box,
to try a
but-
restaurant and you don't know how it is, just go to TikTok, look up the restaurant review, and I promise you there's a video out there.
Wow. Yeah, see, now that is something really interesting because, yeah, we all got used to Googling, and now you guys are saying you just use TikTok for the similar functions.
Yes, because you would rather look at a video than read a paragraph or an article about
Wow.
whatever
Okay, you
you're
guys
looking
are
up.
scaring old people. Okay, so do you trust those videos?
I feel like if it's more than one person saying the same thing on something, then okay. Just like with a Google search, like if I see just one good review, like I really want 100% trust it. Like I got to see a little more.
Okay.
Like she said, before I just like, if I'm looking at a review, I won't just like base my judgment off one person's video. I'm probably gonna watch 3-4 couple more and like try to ration it out after that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and see if they are a reliable source. Like, is this even a fake page? Like, is this the company behind this page? Like, like you have to check into stuff on
Yeah.
there too.
Well, it is good to hear you, and it feels like you're being in kind of the law enforcement end of things. That's been beaten into you maybe a little bit.
Yes,
Dr.
Thompson here at Southern.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. And I'm a big fan of that. I mean, we try to teach our students that as well. That you taking anything on face value is a bad idea.
Yes.
So that's really interesting. Well, let's stay on technology just for a minute. So here's a headline. So here's how I read the news. Now, I don't expect anybody to take the news in the way I do, but I do. Here's my argument for whatever it's worth. If you spend 20 minutes a day looking at reliable news sources, which I would include as New York Times homepage, Mississippi Today, NPR, you will be the smartest person in the room, and you'll always have something to talk about at the party. That's my argument. I think I can make a good case for that. So here's a headline. Let's see if you guys see if our USM students care. And so this is from CNBC. So the way I look at things is I go to a business news source every morning. I go to 2 or 3 national news sources every morning. I go to Mississippi Today. I go to MPB, Mississippi Public Broadcasting. And I also have a couple of higher ed news sources that I look at every day just to kind of make sure I'm staying on top of things, right? So here's a headline from CNBC, which is a business thing. The Department of Justice sues Apple over iPhone monopoly in landmark antitrust case. So in other words, your federal government is suing Apple to change how it works and how it manufactures and how it deals with its iPhone. What do you think? Do you guys have iPhones?
Yes.
So what do you think about your federal government forcing Apple to do something different with your phone?
I feel like I've heard that before, previously, because they couldn't retrieve data for some of their investigations, so they wanted to. But I didn't know that they were going to go ahead and sue them for real.
Well, you know, that had never occurred to me that that would be somehow connected. So the issue you're talking about is Apple has historically refused to work with law enforcement to open up an iPhone password.
Yes.
So if you can't get, like, if you have a suspect and you want to see, well, what have you done the last 12 hours, and you want to crack into the iPhone, you can't really do it unless Apple does something. And Apple has always historically refused to do that. So that had never occurred to me that maybe that issue is connected to this. That's not what any of the coverage is saying. What they're saying is what the federal
I don't
government.
feel like they would make that the headline. Like,
Yeah, probably, because that would make more people upset, I think. But what the DOJ is arguing is that iPhone, through its proprietary practices, has captured something like 70% of the world smartphone market. And they've done it through this idea that we're not going to let anybody build apps for the iPhone. We're not going to give out our code to anybody to develop various things. And so they call it a closed garden way of manufacturing. And the DOJ is saying that has become a monopoly, and so therefore that's unfair to other companies. Do you care?
I do care, but this is all news to me, actually, so I'm just kind of trying to process everything.
Yeah. No, so I think that at the end of the day, this is where it got this. So this is my argument, right? Is that the Department of Justice is a part of the executive administration, which Joe Biden is the head of the current executive administration. So therefore, Joe Biden is going to at least have some significant influence on what the Department of Justice does. So who you vote for matters. It can matter as directly as what does your iPhone have on it, what doesn't it have on it. So that's kind of my argument on that. So at the end of the day, I think the question for our USM students is, do you care whether the government is interfering in what's going on with your iPhone?
yes, because I feel like I couldn't see myself with a different phone. Like, through all the different brands I've been through, I don't feel like Samsung, Android, none of them.
BlackBerry.
Like
Oh,
they
you remember the
couldn't-
BlackBerry?
Yeah.
I had a BlackBerry years ago.
Like, I don't feel like they could do what Apple does, which is why a lot of issues come up with their companies. Because it is a disadvantage, because Apple's been around a while, but so has Android, but they just have
It's a better phone.
Yeah.
And so why is it a monopoly if you just make a better phone? Now, I will say that's exactly Apple's argument. So so the DOJ yesterday held a news conference announcing all this. Apple held one minutes later saying the exact opposite, saying we're just the best phone. How can you punish us for being the best phone in the marketplace, right? Really interesting stuff. So so you're at least adjacent to law enforcement. Let me throw this at you. So this is a CNN headline. There were dozens of headlines all over on this. But first of 6 Mississippi ex-officers sentenced to 20 years for torturing 2 black men. So are you guys following the Rankin County case at all?
I've seen it, but I haven't been following it. So
Has it
they've
come
been
up in your
sentenced?
classes, I
It
wonder?
has.
Yeah. Do you know what we're talking about?
Could you repeat the headline one more time?
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. Oh, we're not going to take a break. We got 3 minutes. Okay, excellent. Sorry. So here's the headline. First of 6 Mississippi ex-officers sentenced to 20 years for torturing 2 black men. So the story is the Rankin County Sheriff's Department had a group of deputies that called themselves the Goon Squad. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah, the
It
Goon Squad.
actually does sound familiar.
Yeah, the
now.
Goon Squad. And there was a specific case a year and a half ago where they tortured 2 young black men in very bizarre and really ugly ways that we won't go into for the radio. And they were arrested and charged on federal civil rights charges. And now they also are facing state charges. But what's been going on this week is they sentenced all 6 officers to significant prison time. So I just wonder if our students are talking about that. Are they thinking about what this might mean?
Yes, for the criminal justice students and forensic students, it's came up. Like, a lot of headlines come up in our class, like just in our day-to-day talk. So I feel like it's a part of the police culture. Like, it's a negative part of it. Not saying every police department has a goon squad, but I feel like it's a part of the culture where it's some police departments that do have those, like, even where I'm from, they're called the jump out boys. Like,
Really?
Yeah, just a couple police officers that people know they'll jump out the car and yeah.
That's fascinating.
Based on my major, we don't really talk about topics like this, and even with my friend groups, we don't really discuss things. I have more so conversation about like the news and stuff with my parents, and like she had said, I feel like in my hometown, I feel like some things like this get like swept under the rug. I feel like they're usually like not discussed, and so for them to bring it to the light, it is partially good that they get their justice.
Yeah, so that's been an ongoing thing, and I was talking to some folks yesterday in my office that people wish that we wouldn't report things like this. That it's really hard. It's hard to hear. It's hard, it's negative. Well, but isn't it good that the public knows that if deputies are torturing young black men, shouldn't the public know that, and shouldn't something happen, right?
Yes, and from my knowledge, the reports are public. So I'm sure there wasn't the first case of that happening to someone who was being arrested or accosted by the police. Like, I'm sure it's happened before.
Yep. Well, and particularly with that group, I mean, the so-called Goon Squad has been operating for over a decade, and that's where that came from. So we are now going to take a break. I'm getting the nod from the control room, and we'll be back with some more headlines.
Never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Southern Miss Radio is home to Don Rodney Radio's Rhythm and Blues Show.
WUSM, Southern Miss Radio, 88.5, Don Rodney Radio's Rhythm and Blues Show, another summertime song. I love this.
Don Rodney Radio spotlights the composers and performers of Mississippi Delta Blues, such as Charlie Patton, Mississippi John Hurt, Robert Johnson, and more. Here on Southern Miss Radio, Sundays from noon until 2.
Okay, we are back, and this is we've been talking about the Rankin County deputies case. That's attracted quite a bit of attention around Mississippi and around the nation. Actually, New York Times has been covering this pretty extensively. So let me turn a little bit to education here, and let's see what our students think about a couple of headlines. So here's one from Inside Higher Ed. Mm-hmm. That is it's an online publication that I visit almost every day. Here's a headline: Civil rights groups push back against wave of anti-DEI bills. So here's one or two of the facts. So far this year, at least 5 state legislatures have passed bills seeking to curtail diversity, equity, and inclusion in higher education. So what's going on is places like Florida, Alabama, Texas, not yet Mississippi, depending on how you define it, are doing things like defunding diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. They're saying you can't spend any money, you can't hold events where you highlight things like diversity. What do you think?
I feel like they're only taking the funding away to push those organizations back into the closet, like so that people can kind of forget about them.
Yeah.
I feel like
As like punishment, like okay, so we're just gonna take the money back.
Yeah. No, there's no question. Yeah.
exactly, like I feel like these organizations that do highlight diversity and inclusion is needed, like in order so that they can have their platform and so other students can like find their group of people. So like she said, that's a punishment because it really helps students out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Is that the idea of the conservatives? The states that are doing this are all conservative. They all have Republican-led legislatures. Their argument is that these programs are divisive, as in they separate black students from white students. Is that a reasonable argument?
I don't feel like it's a reasonable argument if the diversity is of gender, color, sexuality. Like it's not just about color. If it was just about separating black and white, then I feel like we've already been through that.
Yeah.
So
We have already been through that, right? So now, if you talk to the folks who are running these programs, they would say the goal is the opposite. The goal is not to divide. The goal is to bring together, right? So if you don't recognize the fact that there are 80% white folks on campus and 20% folks who are not white, how do you bring them together? How do you share common issues? How do you share common experiences? Right. That would be their argument. So it's an interesting thing going on around the country where these kinds of programs are. Now, are our students talking about anything like this?
no, but it was a thing not too long ago about the bathrooms and about having
Yes.
like a neutral bathroom or adjusting some of the signs. But other than that, like I haven't heard anything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like she had said, I haven't really just heard students here discussing that.
There is a bill moving through the Mississippi legislature that would require higher education campuses, that would include USM, to have separate bathrooms for, quote, men and women, unquote, and that the bill defines what a man is and what a woman is. Is that a good idea?
In higher education, I feel like it would be just because it's still kids that come to schools here, even Southern auditors. I don't feel like it would be safe, like, for them to come in that type of environment and they have no knowledge of it before they came here, and now they're in the bathroom with somebody who doesn't look like them.
Oh, okay. That had never occurred to me about visitors. What do you think?
To my knowledge, I feel that I really don't know. I really
You know,
don't
it's not. It's not. I think for a lot of us, it's not quite as simple as what some folks say. I will say this: several of my students are transgender, and it breaks my heart to think that they would experience something that's going to make them intensely uncomfortable. Right. So the way the legislative bill defines gender is by what you were at birth. So if you were born with male genitals, then you're male forever. If you were born with female genitals, you're female forever. And so when you go to college, whatever is on your birth certificate, that's the bathroom you have to use. Does that make a difference?
It kind of does. I feel like here at Southern, when you get to know people and you get to know the campus, if you are trans, like they aren't gonna just target you. Like if you identify as a male but you're a female, if you go into that restroom, like, I don't feel like nobody would just sit there and point it out. It's
Right, regardless of
outside.
the sign on the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
I feel like it's outside of here, or like their safe environment, that people might have a problem or they might say something. Because I've seen a video recently where someone was in a gym and there was a trans female in there, but it was the women's restroom. So they felt some type of way. They went viral. Like, it was a lot. But yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody that I know. So.
Right. Well, these are always difficult issues, which is why we read the news, we consume the news, we talk about the news. That's why it's so exciting, because as citizens, we can make a difference, right? So I love that. Thank you all very much. You guys have been amazing as usual. We are running a little long on time, so thanks for letting us go here a little bit. Our producer is Lillian Scott. Thank you, Lillian, for keeping us between the ditches. Our engineer is Triderica Winters, and our videographer is Elena Petleski. This has been a production of Southern Miss Student Media.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.